Good morning and welcome to the Knowing Show. I am your host, Christene Marie. Good. I'm thinking about lesson 94. I was thinking about how, this is Good Friday, Easter weekend. And it was a real privilege yesterday to join with you all. And we just had some really meaningful connections. And it reminds me, this is why we do the show, is so that we can come alongside each other and really participate in each other's experience, because not only do we get to comfort each other, not only do we get to love each other, but we also get to give from our overflow and receive from others, and receive from their experience and give from ours, because experience really is one of the most important things that we could ever offer to anyone. There's this biblical concept of we comfort others with the comfort we have received. So from the experience of love, from the experience of comfort, we then give. And so receiving can actually be one of the most important tools so that we can then give to others. With that, we're going to go ahead and start with a review of previous lessons, and then we will dive into today's. Lesson 61, I am the light of the world. Lesson 62, forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Lesson 63, the light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. Lesson 64, let me not forget my function. Lesson 65, my only function is the one God gave me. Lesson 66, my happiness and my function are one. Lesson 67, love created me like itself. Lesson 64, love holds no grievances. Lesson 68, my grievances hide the light of the world in me. Lesson 70, my salvation comes from me. Lesson 71, only God's plan for salvation will work. Lesson 72, holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. Lesson 73, I will, there be light. Lesson 74, there is no will but God's. Lesson 75, the light has come. Lesson 76, I am under no laws but God's. Lesson 77, I am entitled to miracles. Lesson 78, let miracles replace all grievances. Lesson 79, let me recognize the problem so it can be solved. Lesson 80, let me recognize my problems have been solved. And then we jump to lesson 91, miracles are seen in light. Lesson 92, miracles are seen in light and joy, and light and strength are one. Lesson 93, light and joy and peace abide in me. Lesson 94, I am as God created me. Today we continue with the idea which brings complete salvation, the one statement which makes all forms of temptation powerless, the one thought that renders the ego silent and entirely undone. You are as God created you. The sounds of this wood are still, the sights of this world disappear, and all the thoughts that this world have ever held are wiped away forever by this one idea. Here is salvation accomplished. Here is sanity restored. True light is strength, and strength is sinlessness. If you remain as God created you, you must be strong, and light must be in you. He who ensured your sinlessness must be the guarantee of strength and light as well. You are as God created you. Darkness cannot obscure the glory of God's Son. You stand in light and strong in the sinlessness in which you were created, and in which you will remain throughout eternity. Today, we will again devote the first 5 minutes of each waking hour to attempt to feel the truth in you. Begin these times of searching with these words, I am as God created me. I am his son eternally. Now, try to reach the Son of God in you. This is the self that never sinned, nor made an image to replace reality. This is the self that never left its home in God to walk in the world of uncertainty. This is the self that knows no fear, nor could conceive of loss or suffering or death. Nothing is required of you to reach this goal except to lay aside idols and self-inscribed images or self-images aside. Go past the list of attributes, both good and bad, you have ascribed yourself, and wait in silent expectation for the truth. God has himself promised that it will be revealed for all who asked. You are asking now. You cannot fail because he cannot fail. If you do not meet the requirement of practicing for the first 5 minutes of every hour, at least remind yourself hourly, I am as God created me. I am his son eternally. Tell yourself frequently that you are as God created you, and be sure to respond to anyone who seems to irritate you with these words. You are as God created you. You are his son eternally. Make every effort to do the hourly exercises today. Each one you do will be a giant stride toward your release and a milestone in learning the thought system with which this course sets forth. As we were talking, I was reminded about the way that we talk about identity. We talk about identity as there being kind of like two parts. Part A is the part that is, man, it is loved, it is made in the image of God, it is pure, it's a thing that's in every single one of us. I just, this universal love that God gives towards every single one of us, it does connect us in so many ways. I can see somebody regardless if they're the same religion as me or same faith as me, or regardless of what socioeconomic status as me, we can have completely different worldviews. And that is the thing that binds us, is that we were both made in the image of God. And that identity is priceless. That identity is to be protected and honored and to be sought after in so many ways, like really pursued and coming to know that part of us, because it is royalty. It is being like God in so many ways, and we get to be the representative of God here on earth. And then there's the other part of our identity that is very much so an amalgamation of our personality and temperament and skills. It makes us so unique. So there's the part of us that is like God, that is made in the image of God, that is the very bonding agent between all of us. And then there's the other part of us that's so unique and incredibly differentiating between us. And so with that, sometimes that other layer, identity B, let's say, can actually become really corroded, because it is so connected here on earth, and so much has to do with our experiences and what was modeled for us. And it's very almost like lateral. It's very earthly, like physical. And a lot of times we actually corrode the other part of us that was made like God, given the pain of the past, where we no longer see through God's eyes in identity A, because it's like we see through God's eyes identity A, and then we live according to the identity B, like the manifestation of identity B. And I've never thought of it like that, but I think that's really, really powerful. It's like, are we thinking with the mind of God? Are we looking at the world through the lens of God? And then the way that we show up and the way that manifests is through who we were uniquely made to be. That's where it's like we are the vessel. We are the vehicle of the presence of God. And so when we're talking about I am as God created me to be, there's I'm going to let the identity A return to the driver's seat. Who did God make me to be? Seeing the world through his eyes, and really allowing for that to take charge. Because otherwise, it is really easy for our subconscious programming to really be in the driver's seat, where we're not even aware of the decisions we're making. We're just acting off of default. And so as we're talking, I'm going back to this one section where she says, nothing is required of you to reach this goal of, recognizing that we are as God created, except to lay aside idols and self-images ascribed. Go past the list of attributes, both good and bad, you have ascribed to yourself, and wait in silent expectation for the truth. But God has himself promised it will be revealed to all who ask. You are asking now. You cannot fail because he cannot fail. And so there's something in this whole process of literally like closing our eyes and asking, like, God, I want to be reminded of who you made me to be, but in both regards of both identity aspects, because God created us perfectly and beautifully. And then there's corrosion that comes. Yesterday we talked about Michelangelo, where everyone asked him, how did you make the beautiful sculpture of David? Because it was so iconic. And he said, well, I just stripped away who David was not. And that was just so incredibly beautiful to have that kind of perception of, okay, we need to strip away who we are not. And so much of our process in this morning lesson and every single day is just to remove who we are not, so that we can return to the integrity of who did God make me to be in the first place. And then that's when we're the light of the world. That's when we represent him in such a beautiful way. I'm just jumping down into the chat. Good morning, Sven. What kind of stream is this? We talk every morning. We go through A Course in Miracles, and there's a daily lesson each. And we talk about spiritual intelligence and really training our minds to ensure that we're not operating off of default, but we're living awake. And, we're living awake and alive. Sleepy Harmonica, good morning. Thank you for joining. Alexander, hi. I'm glad you're here. Alarm, Ramadan, good morning. Nothing comment filter or real face. This is my real face. Doofus, good morning. Star Frosty, thanks for hanging out. Nothing comment, good morning. Jimmy McDanger, good morning. John says, do you have low self-esteem? I think I used to. I think whenever we start believing anything that's not true, that's when we can start running into copious lies around believing anything that's not true, primarily in regard to what do other people say. When our orientation is focused to the right or to the left, and we're looking to everyone around us and outside of us to tell us who we are, man, we cannot help but have low self-esteem, because what it means is that even if we have high self-esteem, it's going to come crashing down the next day, depending on if we're talking to somebody who has a bad day. I think that I think all of us who have not done the work to recognize who were we created to be in the first place really can struggle with low self-esteem. Martin, good morning. Can anyone join your conversation? Yes. And Martin, I wanted to tell you, this upcoming week, we're actually launching the Knowing community. We're going to be launching it on the Knowing podcast, not Christene Marie. So if you're not following the Knowing podcast, go ahead over there. I am live in 2 places right now, but we're going to stop that. And at first, I was going to have everybody go live on the other platform, but we're going to be doing the Knowing podcast. And I'm also going to start where once a week, I have folks actually join me, like live with me on Zoom, and then we'll broadcast out on YouTube. So I'm super excited about that. And I'm looking to do that every Thursday, and then folks can have the opportunity to kind of submit questions, and then that will be the focus of our conversation. So just looking down here, Deuces, good morning. I'm glad to see you. Talfaza, I love your comment. Elpin Memo, good morning. Talfaza, I think it's also connection. It's interesting. That's why I'm excited to have other people join as well, so that it's very much so back and forth. But man, is it encouraging to hear from each other's experience and to grow along with each other. So, and then the connection can come from that in so many beautiful ways. My gosh. Vincent, good morning. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. Ghetto Wizard, what's your testimony? I'd love to know yours. I feel like I've got to actually hop off here in just a minute, and I'm like, oh, I don't think we have time for that. But I do appreciate you asking that. John, I'm going to put you on timeout because we don't talk like that here. But thanks for hopping on. We just don't go down that path. User says, I think there are many things we think are true but aren't. I completely agree. I know for me that's been true so many times. And my goal is that I don't wait for tragedy to prove to me what I don't understand, but that I'm doing the work and reading and listening and having conversations with people. Part of the conversation and connection piece is so important so that we can actually really test our beliefs, and be challenged in really, really good ways. Luis, good morning. Thanks for joining. Kay, Haram, what are you talking about? We're talking about, and Malsum asked too, what is this channel about? So on the Knowing Show, we talk about, honestly, what consists of the human intelligence as we are heading into this age of AI, where, man, I think that there's going to be universal based income. And I think a lot more jobs are going to be lost. My darling says that actually, when you look under the surface, 24% of the US have lost their jobs at this point. So we are seeing radical change, and it is more important than ever that we actually take the time to cultivate what makes us human. Because as our lives basically get stripped away from us in terms of work, a lot of identity is found there. And so as we end up having that stripped away, what's left? Are we happy with the person we look at in the mirror? Are we in good relationships with those that we love? Are we able to exist in and with ourselves? Or are we constantly outsourcing joy and hope and peace? And so that's what we talk about on the show, is what cultivates human intelligence, and specifically intellectual intelligence, emotional intelligence, uh, uh, physical intelligence, and spiritual intelligence. So we go live in the morning and usually in the evening, and we'll talk about both. So um, mm, Christopher Adams, good morning, my friend. I'm so glad to see you. Since yesterday was Good Friday, take heart in knowing that his sacrifice was not defeat, but a meaningful choice. Today is Silent Saturday, so as we die with Christ, we shall rise again with him. I just got chills. I've never heard of Silent Saturday. That is so, so, so beautiful. Wow. I'm grateful for this weekend. I never appreciated Easter as much as until after my brother-in-law was killed, and just the hope, we don't have proof, but the hope that I'll see him again one day. I feel so grateful for that. Kuram says, I'm a senior app developer, and as someone who has fully seen AI capabilities, we're a long way off yet. It's interesting. I'm hearing both. I was at an AI event on Thursday and an all-day training yesterday. It is insanely powerful what these tools can do. I think we're far off in certain industry categories. And man, there's a lot happening. Man in the Hat, good morning. I'm glad to see you. PC says, I'm sorry, what is physical intelligence? The book that I most often reference is actually the book, The Body Keeps the Score. That for me was really, it just made a big impact. He talks about how our bodies literally store trauma, and how it can be 20 years since. He was speaking specifically about war veterans or people who have gone through serious trauma. And it's like all of a sudden they hear something, smell something, and their body throws them back 20 years from the past. And then all of a sudden it's like they're taken right back there, and they don't realize that they're not back in that moment. And they go into a trauma response from 20 years ago. And one of the, I guess, case studies that he would bring up was that war veterans kept getting thrown into mental hospitals because people didn't understand post-traumatic stress disorder. But once that kind of was coined, they really started honoring the body, that the body stores data about the past, and then the body actually needs to process whatever it's been storing and holding on to. So it's not just mental trauma, it's not just emotional trauma, but it is physical trauma that your body has gone through. Even a car accident, a car accident can really kind of do some damage on us. So our body remembers. And so because of that, we actually need to take time to understand our bodies well enough to be able to understand the data that it's telling us. I've experienced that, not to any massive extent like the examples in the book, but even I had a couple bad experiences growing up, and I would all of a sudden get taken back to that moment until I did the work to process the trauma experience that I had. So that's physical intelligence. It's effectively garnering intelligence around what our body has experienced, and understanding and knowing our body well enough to then be able to tend to it. It's, guys, we've only really been cultivating the intellectual intelligence since the dawn of our lives. The education system has really only been cultivating the IQ. And now we're starting to see, man, there's a lot of value on cultivating the EQ. And then also with spiritual intelligence. I was talking to someone last night. We hosted an event all day yesterday, and someone was telling me there's just this resurgence of folks looking for meaning because they're not finding it in their jobs. They're not finding it in their families. There's more loneliness than ever before. And I think that even with AI, the man in the hat, wow, the AI that we see is the AI they want us to see. It is far more advanced than they want us to know. That's a technological rule. I completely agree with you. And when you really dig in the weeds, we do have access to a lot of powerful stuff. So if that is true, it's like, oh my gosh, it's even more powerful than we see. So this is another reason why knowing is so important. Even before AI, it was like, this really matters. Knowing who we are and being able to heal and engage in a healthy way. I've seen so much brokenness, and even with, I think it was all up to over 70% of teenagers are engaging with AI, and many of them are looking for romantic relationship and emotional satiation from it. And so, man, how much more beautiful could our world be if we could connect with each other in a similar way, if we learned how to ask thoughtful questions like AI does, and just bring, man, human touch is so important, and bring that sense of hope to each other, where we don't have to hide away behind our computers, but we get to experience real connection and real community. So y'all, thank you so much for joining me today. I will be live again tomorrow morning. I'm aiming for 9 a.m. Eastern on Easter, but I might do it an hour earlier just to see. D. Lyons, any thoughts on Carl Jung? I think at some point I'm going to do a deeper dive on Carl Jung. I don't know him well enough at all to have a strong opinion. I will say sometimes I'll like pick up something that he wrote and I'll read a couple paragraphs, or a friend will send me something and I'm like, oh, like I definitely, that definitely is something that I have felt like I've had revealed to me, but I've never put it in that phrase or that concept, I guess, that he would. So I've never really read him, so I can't speak too much, but I have felt some congruencies with some of the things that have been sent to me. Man in the Hat says, Christine, you have me questioning things that I was certain about. Oh, interesting. I'd love to know what those are if you're up for sharing. Also, I owe you an email, so if you want to tell me via email, feel free to do that. I check, honestly, my email is like a once a week thing, but if you're up for sending it there, I'd love to respond. I'll be flying tomorrow, so I'd love to chat with you then. Patrick Rowe, good morning. I'm glad to see you. Rob Can, good morning. Good to see you. Pedro, Doorway Sniffer, there's no meaning, and I think that's beautiful. I'm so glad you can find beauty in that sentiment. I think a lot of folks that have that sentiment, it leads to nihilism. So I think it's interesting that you're able to hold that perception and still experience and engage with life in a meaningful way. So good on you. I think there's so much meaning. All right, y'all. Vincent, if you really dig under the hood, they're not reporting on everything. I'll just say that. But anyways, y'all, thank you so much for joining. I will be live again tomorrow morning as we continue on with A Course in Miracles. And I'm excited. Next week, I'll be kind of back on my normal routine of going live in the evenings. And I've missed you all, so I'm excited about that. And we're going to officially be launching the Knowing Community next week. If you all are following me and joining on Christene Marie, go head over to the Knowing podcast, because I'm going to be sunsetting that channel. And I want to have all of us in one place talking. I really, really, really do. We have such good conversations, but because I'm live on two places, it's hard for us to have the real connection in the chat. So everyone watching on Christene Marie, go head over to the Knowing podcast, subscribe there. And what we are going to start doing, y'all, is I am going to start having it where it's just subscribers only can comment. So that's going to help us kind of keep out the trolls as well. So if you are a subscriber on the Knowing podcast, you can join and comment on there. Again, the reason for this is really to honor all of us, to honor me as I'm talking, to jump here in the chat and not see inappropriate or horribly mean things, but to honor you guys. I've had people say, like, man, this chat is getting dirty, or this chat is getting really strange, or something like that. And I really want to honor every person who's taking the time to cultivate themselves. It's hard work, and sometimes it's like looking in the mirror can be really, really painful. And also I really want to have meaningful conversations. So go over to the Knowing podcast. We're going to be sunsetting Christene Marie. Go head over there. Let me see if I can join. Let me go to Christene Marie, and I'm going to do the Knowing podcast link, so you guys can just hop over there. But we are going to be sunsetting Christene Marie next week, and I'm just going to stop going live over there. So I just grabbed the link. I'm going to put this here in the chat. Um, and then, we'll kind of officially over. So, huzzah. All right, I'm here in the chat. All right, so I just dropped it in Christene Marie. Hello, friends. So coming over. So Patrick Rowe, Ethan, good morning, Donald, Random Elvis, Fine Gentleman, Enlightened Prophet. Y'all come over into and Man in the Hat. So I didn't honestly, it's funny. I never know which platform you guys are on, but go over to the Knowing Podcast because I don't wanna lose you all, my friends. PC Bullet Sponge, go over there too if you're up for it. And you obviously don't have to, but would love to have you guys over there because we're gonna stop going live on Christene Marie starting on Monday. So have a wonderful day. Happy Silent Saturday. I didn't even know that this was a thing. So I'm grateful, Christopher, for you saying that. All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful Easter weekend. I'll see you tomorrow morning, and I will see you soon. Have a good day, friends. Bye.